Hello and welcome to my first coding tutorial. Before we start coding anything or programming anything, first we're going to need to know where we're going to put our code. Alright, now most programmers or coders or scripters, whatever you want to call them, I'll get more in-depth on the difference between the three on my Tumblr page, which you can find in the description of this video. Anyway, before you ever start, you need a place to start coding before you can code. What I'm using here is Notepad++, which is an editor. Though a lot of people like to use an IDE, or integrated development area, which is basically like an editor, but you can run code, and some IDEs even let you make programs, though I prefer to just use an editor. It's got syntax highlighting and lets you save files as save files in various language formats. Notepad++ is a wide assortment, from ADA, ASP, assembly, AutoIt, Batch, C, C#, C++, Camel, C, Make, a whole bunch of things. But what we're going to really be starting now is with a more beginner language called Lua. Alright, so now we have a Lua source file. And if I were to ever save this, it would save as a .lua file, because it's a .lua file. And you'd have to actually set up what program runs .lua files, but usually I just like to use Notepad. Anyway, we're going to start out with the basics. Lua works, it's object orientated and works around functions. Oh, and notice how earlier I said it's syntax highlighting. Whenever you use a syntax keyword, it'll turn blue. Now there are two ways to call a function in different forms of Lua, like the slightly edited version of Lua that's used in Gmod, or rbx.lua, which you use on Roblox. You call functions by saying function, then function name, and then have your parameters inside here. Let's say part. In normal Lua, though, like this Lua source file, you call a function by writing function name equal function, and then have your parameters. And that's actually rather similar to in JavaScript. Hey, write var name equal function parameters, and then you go to your code. But we're not learning JavaScript right now. I'll get into JavaScript later. So anyway, I'm going to make a basic function that has two parameters, n1 and n2. Anyway, how you're going to anyway, what I was saying was, after you start your function, at the function line, below it you write what you'll have inside of it. And this one is going to print. Now what print does is it'll print whatever it's told to print into the console in an IDE. So if I went to Roblox and I had it print something, it would print that to the output window. Or if I used any other Lua IDE such as Love 2D, it would print this to the output window. Anyway, print n1 plus n2. This would, when the function is ran with an end, print the two numbers just together. And you can call a function after you have your ends. Most functions need multiple ends. You would say something like add 15 and 15, and if I ran this in an IDE, it would print out 30. But if I wanted to get a bit more fancy, I could print the answer is, hold on, put a space, and use dot dot. In Lua, dot dot connects two strings, and I'll add 30 and 30. Now I'm going to run this in an IDE and show you what happens. Alright, we're at an IDE now. This IDE is called Source Layer, though I've cut out the name from the video. It's currently set on C, but this IDE can run a wide assortment of languages, just like Notepad++, which is why I use it. Though the only problem is it takes a few minutes to compile Lua. Anyway, here's our script. But as you can see here, some IDEs don't have syntax highlighting, and yeah, that makes it harder for you to know that you're doing your code correctly if you're a beginner to scripting. Now, if I were to run this, hold on, I'd get the answer 60. See? Print will print whatever you tell it to print to the output. And n1 and n2, these are parameters. Whatever these parameters name is, they'll turn into whatever they're supposed to turn into when I call the function. Calling the function is the term for when you just write the function name and write the parameters and let the function run and do its job. So that's enough for lesson 1, which is basic functions. We'll work more on functions and do other things in later lessons to come. Bye.